Hi, Peter Schneider, Business Development Director. Sorry, strike that. Hi, Peter Schneider, GridMarket. I'm the Director of Business Development and Project Management for the company. And we help commercial industrial energy users around the world, but primarily in America, to evaluate what opportunities for clean energy and electrification that they have and how to best position their resources to maximize and optimize on the outcome of those projects.
I'm Koelsch, founder, co-inventor of Advanced Energy Machine, who manufacture a unique zero-emission transport refrigeration unit that delivers food to restaurants, groceries that we all eat every day. Peter and I are here today talking some of the challenges wholesale food distributors have, in particular as it relates to advanced energy with environment, electricity, synergy. We're just chatting about the fact that the world is alive, talking about EVs. And yet, when you try to decide what your next year plan looks like in electric infrastructure in your whole distribution facility, how much of that is a factor, how much of that is EVs like zero emission, and what a lot of people are really looking for is carbon reduction. When you look at the carbon reduction footprint, about 50% general is tractors and 50% of these percent transport refrigerators. So the low-hanging fruit with a low energy environment are the TRUs, refrigeration. So working with a company like Peter, we can say, how quickly can you do these TRUs versus how quickly can you deploy a tractor with the TRUs? And what does that demand on your grid like, and how can you maybe supplement with some solar energy, for instance? And so Peter's company comes up with those solutions. We work with Peter to say, here's the demand that our TRUs are required. In general, that our requires 20% of the plant that the tractor requires. So you can deploy, and you have to deploy a lot of TRUs. We work hand in hand to forecast that demand, see what it looks like, see what your carbon reduction footprint look like, how quick you can accomplish your editing like that.
Yeah, we're here today in Gilroy, California. We both participated in a ribbon cutting ceremony for Performance Food Group's facility, where our company deployed renewable energy. Robert's company deployed a fleet of electric TRUs, and we're very fortunate to be in the mix with folks like Volvo, the tractors and free wire charging infrastructure. But during the ceremony, I think it's interesting to hear is 80% roughly of the carbon emissions that food service organizations have is related to diesel and energy. The lion's share of that being diesel. And then we automatically attribute a lot of that carbon footprint to the tractors, forgetting about the units that those tractors deploy, right? Large TRU manufacturers out there have really been struggling with how to figure it out. It's not like Volvo is making, and they are making big trucks, right? But you have the big trailer and TRU manufacturers who have been essentially stuck in many ways by this problem. How do you take this simple refrigeration unit, and I shouldn't say simple, I guess as from the outside, seems like a simple air conditioning on a truck. And how do we put a battery on it and make it work? And yet Robert really pioneered and opened this market up 5 years ago, 6 years ago, right? And I think the question that I'm always curious about is really in this market where you are underdog, right? You're not a thermo tank, you're not a utility, you're not a carrier, right? When you go up against those major players who have massive market share in this category and others, frankly, what are some of the biggest challenges that you face in that sales process? And I think what's important to me is understanding that, because my infrastructure element comes after they've made a decision to purchase your equipment, right? They're not going to pull an electric vehicle, they're not going to drive an electric tractor, then that charging infrastructure is no longer a part of the project. Now, that doesn't mean I can't address their base load for that facility, but I think it becomes much more impactful when we're taking on additional carbon offset and additional electric upside to it.
Like you said, the low-hanging fruit that Jeff Williams at Performance Food talked about today was, if you're not talking about your diesel reduction plan, then you're only scoping 20% of your potential carbon reduction. So that diesel has got to be chasing. And the diesel is the nasty in our environment. The diesel is the one that's putting out the sub-half crown carbon particles that are coming into our bodies and never leaving, and that affects our children and grandchildren. I applaud Jeff for addressing the diesel. Yeah, it's 80%, but it's the nasty 80% that we really got to get, and we can get out of our environment around it. Yeah, it was a big day for that. A lot of good relationships, and it takes a lot of people to build that zero emission environment. People like myself, like people like get it right, because it's really important. These early stages got to be right. So the planning that you do, equipment that we make, works every day. I think our equipment 500 times at this site in particular, we've been working Our equipment to date has released 25,000. It's important. Food delivery is important. So, yeah, it takes energy to ship it around, and that has always been diesel to this day. So this is the revolution beginning right here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think, from our side, what's been really interesting when it comes to integration of electric vehicle charging, be it TRUs, be it tractors, cars, whatever, is when we're pairing that with the deployment of a renewable energy technology, solar, batteries, something on site. We focus typically on bank of technologies on the renewable energy side, and the bankability word there means reliable return, right?
Yeah.
In a sense, what we've found is that the reliability of those returns, be it a payback period, an IRR, right? The long-term warranties with guarantee structures around these technologies create a softer landing for a lot of the concern or risk when it comes to actually implementing the EV charging infrastructure, right? Because you can look at it as a part of a holistic project that has one piece that feels very new, that feels a little bit riskier. Pair that with a product that's very sturdy in its financial returns, its operations. It creates a little bit more warmth and comfort around moving forward on that project rather than just keeping those things siloed. It also allows us to attack grant funding in a different way, to leverage the investment tax credits that the federal government is giving us in a different way, and to just make sure that the overall system is sized appropriately. What your needs are going to be right out the gates, but then also future-proofed as you're going to go from, like we're today, 6 electric tractors, and how many TRUs do you have there at Gilroy?
33 at this.
30 tractors and 100 plus, right? And how do you, all of that kind of comes into play, right? So it's about driving confidence in a project where you're dealing with a technology you're not as confident, and also making sure that you have a little bit of breathing room in that project to grow into what the next phase is, what the next kind of iterations of those technologies are.
Yeah, and right now is a perfect time because there's a lot of incentives out there, a lot of regulations coming at these folks on diesel. There's a lot of opportunity for economic advantages from the states, the federal government, and Peter's company does a great job of help understand those and roll them in. We've got our own set of incentives with TRU that have been created by California. Now is the time to do it because it's probably not going to be around for a lot longer. That's on the economics of the states and the federal government. I don't know. We hear about that every day.
Yeah. Market dynamics change all the time, right? California is the hotspot for this at the moment, but we all know what those MOU states are, right? Where they're going to track over the next handful of years. There's good synchronous with those states and local incentive markets, renewable energy credit values, cost of power, all going to make those a pretty attractive project. And better to get in now than be too late or have to wait in a longer queue for financing.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think we're seeing the carrot move to the stick in many places as an incentive model. California, but also in other places, New York City, less on the EV side, carbonization area, but there's only so long people give you free money before they start taking your
Right. Can't have one without the other. And right now, it's been really successful for us demonstrating good, solid ROI prediction, having them come true and be accurate. And it just goes along with what we always say: you don't have to go up, don't bring. That's the whole idea. Plan it out front, and you look at the prompt here, places to attack to get that ROI. And diesel's a big one.
Couldn't agree with that more. No premium on renewable energy at this day and age, especially if you're an organization that has a broad and vast portfolio or fleet. There are ways to address that to make sure that you're capturing value that exists today and invest in the future so you can capture on their book tomorrow.
And that's what the board of directors are demanding of everybody. They want intelligent decisions instead of crazy.
Yeah.
They don't want to throw the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
We make sure people don't throw the money.